Hold up. Before you go blowing that cash on another pistol in 2025, stop right there. This ain't no slick buyer's guide, and it damn sure ain't sponsored either. Nobody paid me to smile and wave at a gun that don't deserve your trust. I'm just telling you the truth shooters keep muttering out the range. The pistols that jam, the ones that look fine on the shelf, but turn into a headache the second you load them. Some of these are cheap bricks, some are overpriced garbage, and yep, one of them is stupid popular. You're gonna hate me for putting it here. This ain't promotion, this ain't hate. Just a warning, straight and dirty. There was a time folks grabbed these because they had no choice. Cash was tight, options were slim, and the Hi-Point sat there cheap and available. Ugly as a brick, heavy as one too, but if it went bang, that was enough. That time's gone now. In 2025, excuses ran out. Budget pistols from Ruger, Taurus, Stoker, all slimmer, lighter, actually built to carry. Meanwhile, the Hi-Point's still hauling around like a lunchbox trigger. Yeah, it'll fire, sometimes, but nobody with real options is strapping one up anymore. It's the punchline of gunshots, not the pistol you trust on your hip. So quit dragging 90s problems into 2025. Leave the brick in the pawn shop case where it belongs. The CCY pistols always show up on the bargain shelf like candy at the checkout line. Bright colors, cheap tags, looks like an easy grab, but carrying one? That's a whole different gamble. I've seen more shooters curse at these than brag. Triggers gritty as sand, mags that spit rounds out if you just look at them wrong, and malfunctions that show up faster than a hangover. Folks buy them because the price feels too sweet to pass up, then spend twice that much in ammo just trying to figure out if the thing even works. And yep, every time I say it, some guy shows up swearing his CPX has never failed. Good. Keep flipping that coin until it lands wrong. The truth is, when you need a carry gun, maybe it works ain't good enough anymore. Nobody trusts a seatbelt that clicks only half the time. Same goes here. So stop buying the candy-colored lottery tickets. A pistol should be more than a gamble. It's house odds every damn time. First time I shot a PF9, I thought something broke in my hand. Slim little pistol, yeah, but it kicks like a mule with a grudge. Every squeeze of the trigger felt less like shooting and more like punishment wrapped in polymer. And that's before you even talk about the rest of it. Triggers rough, the frame's got edges sharp enough to shave skin, and the whole thing rattles like a toolbox after just a few boxes of ammo. I've watched pins walk out, parts loosen, and jams show up before you even get comfortable. Back when choices were slim, some folks put up with it. You wanted the slimmest 9mm, you grabbed the PF9 and braced for the pain. But in 2025, the market's flooded with slim compacts that don't treat your hand like a chew toy. Hellcats, GX4s, Shields, all better, all tougher, and none of them slap you every shot. The PF9 ain't slim and smart anymore. It's slim and stupid. If you're still buying it today, you're not saving weight or money, you're just buying yourself trouble. And if you think that's bad, the next pistol sells like crazy, and I still wouldn't trust it for a trip to the mailbox. Every range I've ever been to, there's always one poor bastard fighting a Taurus G3C. Gun goes bang, and then hiccups. Tap, rack, clear, try again. Looks less like shooting practice and more like a wrestling match. The thing sells like crazy because it's compact and cheap, and on the counter, it looks like a no-brainer, but in your hand, it tells a different story. The frame feels hollow, the controls are mush, and the finish wears quicker than a pair of gas station glasses. Mine chewed through a box of ammo with more stoppages than smooth shots, and that's being generous. Mine jammed. Didn't I tell you before? Some folks will get defensive here. Mine runs fine, and maybe it does. But if every other story about the pistol is failure, you're not proving trust, you're just rolling dice. A carry gun isn't supposed to make you second guess at every magazine. The G3C is cheap, yeah, but cheap and trusted are two different words. You're not saving money when the price you pay is doubt. And if you think that stinks, the next pistol just looked promising on launch, but shooters shoved it in the dirt before it even had a chance. Some pistols look solid in the case, but feel dated the second you touch them. That's the Security 9 story for you. Ruger slapped a fair price on it, sized it up right, gave it a name folks trust, and somehow it still ends up sitting on the shelf collecting dust. Not because it doesn't run, because it does, but the carry world passed it by. Shooters want slim frames, optics cuts, better triggers, and guns that don't feel like they were built 5 years late. This one, bulky, old school, and clunky where it shouldn't be. Ask around and you'll hear it straight. Finish wears out quick, trigger feels bargain bin, slides got that loose rattle, and slides got that loose rattle. Yeah, it'll go bang, but bang isn't the same as confidence, bang isn't trust, and nobody wants to second guess the gun on their hip. That's the Security 9's curse. Not broken, just behind. When pistols like the Shield Plus or GX4 are sitting right next to it, why grab yesterday's answer? It's not hated, and it's not loved either, it's just there. And in 2025, just there doesn't even cut it anymore. Every so often, a big brand decides to drop a pistol that's gonna change the market. Glossy ads, bold promises, everyone told to line up and grab one before they sell out. And sometimes the market doesn't clap, it laughs. This was one of those times. Too bulky to carry, too clumsy for duty. The grip felt like holding a 2x4 with a trigger glued on. Controls were awkward, mags were unreliable, and the whole build screamed rush. On paper, it had everything. Full-size frame, solid capacity, trusted badge stamped on the slide. In the real world, nobody trusted it. Shooters picked it up, fired a box, and left it collecting dust. Instead of saving the brand's handgun line, it turned into a punchline. That pistol was the Remington RP9, and it became less of a gun and more of a headstone for Remington's handgun dreams. But at least this one swung big. The next pistol had a legendary badge too, and still couldn't earn respect. Every brand's got that one pistol nobody lines up for. For Beretta, it's this one. On paper, it should have been a contender. Full-size frame, duty build, tough as nails. In practice, most shooters walked right past it. The thing runs, no doubt. You can dump mags through it, drag it through mud, leave it locked in a hot trunk all summer, and it'll still go bang. But reliability doesn't equal reputation. The Glock crowd never budged, the Sig crowd never blinked, and the APX just stood there like an extra in the background. And let's be honest about the looks. That rigid slide split the room. Some folks called it futuristics, most just said it looked like Beretta hired a Lego designer. Once a gun gets tagged as goofy, it doesn't matter how well it shoots, the image just sticks. That's the real stink. It's not hated, not broken, not a recall level disaster. It's just invisible. And invisible is worse than hated because at least hated guns get talked about. The APX, it runs fine, but nobody cared enough to make it matter. Every company wants a showpiece, and this was Springfield's. A tiny 1911 clone, polished edges, glossy ads, sold like it belonged in a suit pocket instead of a holster. This is the kind of pistol that makes you nod in the shop because it looks sharp. But carry ain't about looking sharp. Chambered in 380, it works, sure. Pull the trigger, it fires, but the whole thing feels more like a boutique hardware than something you'd stake your life on. For the money they charge, shooters expect trust. Instead, what you get is a pistol that makes you second guess the choice every time you load it. That's the rub. Nothing's wrong in the sense of jams every mag or parts falling off. It's not junk, it's just misplaced. Great to polish, fun to show off, maybe decent for range day bragging rights, but when guns like the Shield Plus or GX4 are sitting right beside it, cheaper and tougher, the shine on this thing fades real quick. Carry guns are tools. This one, more like jewelry with a trigger, and jewelry doesn't win fights. Some pistols show up trying to be different just for the sake of it. This one was sold as soft shooting thanks to a gas system nobody asked for, and right away it split shooters in two camps, the curious and the frustrated. On the line, recoil isn't bad. That part of the pitch was true, but the rest? A mess. The trigger feels like pushing through wet cardboard, reset is vague, and every shot leaves you wondering if you really pulled it clean. Then there's the teardown. Field stripping this thing is less like maintaining a carry gun and more like defusing a bomb. Nobody wants to fumble with tools just to clean a pistol that's supposed to be simple. Some shooters got lucky. Theirs ran smooth, fed fine, no complaints. But trust isn't built on sometimes. A carry gun has to win people over, and this one never did. Most folks who tried it ended up moving on, and for good reason. It's not a total failure, but coming from a brand known for legendary triggers and solid builds, it's a letdown. A pistol you shoot once, shrug at, and leave behind. And if that stings, wait till you hear about the next one. A compact that tried to act premium but got tossed aside even faster. Effen's name usually means business. Duty guns, military pedigree, pistols you trust. Which is why this thing hits harder as a letdown. It wasn't a jam fest, it wasn't unsafe, it was just pointless. Billed as their slim carry answer to the Glock 43 and Shield, it landed after everyone had moved on to double-stack micros. By the time the 503 hit shelves, people were buying Hellcats, 43Xs, Shields with real capacity. Effen showed up to the fight late, empty-handed, and still charged full price out the door. Yes, it fires. Yes, it cycles. It's built sturdy like every other FN, but none of that matters when the pistol feels like paying steakhouse money for a cold burger. You don't walk away angry, you walk out shaking your head, wondering why you even bothered. That's the worst fate for a handgun. Not hated, not mocked, just ignored. Effen built something reliable, sure, but reliability doesn't mean much when the market's already moved on without you. The 503 isn't a disaster, it's just irrelevant. And from a company like FN, irrelevance might be the biggest failure of them all. Every now and then, a company swings big. Sometimes it connects, sometimes it knocks itself flat. This one, flat on its back before it even left the gate. Sig rolled it out with all the hype in the world. Modular design, swap frames, swap calibers, built it however you like. On paper, it looked revolutionary. In reality, nobody cared because the one thing you couldn't swap was the trigger. Long, heavy, and clunky. Felt like dragging a boat anchor through mud every time you tried to run it fast. That killed it, unfortunately. Shooters laughed, comps ignored it, and the gun world moved on. You could swap slides all day, but it still didn't fix the fact that it was a chore to shoot. Now I'll give it this much. The idea wasn't trash. That modular dream turned into the P320, and the 320 became a monster success. But the P250 itself, dead on arrival. Sometimes a failure has to happen before a win. But if you're shopping in 2025, don't get fooled. This one's nothing more than history. And speaking of history, the next pistol is still alive and kicking, but not without its own baggage. There was a time this little pistol ruled the concealed carry world. Back in the 90s and 2000s, if you said baby Glock, everyone knew what you meant. It was the go-to. Thick, chunky, but it ran like every Glock does. Simple, reliable, zero drama. People just trusted it. But 2025 isn't the 90s and 2000s anymore. The carry market has changed. Guns like the 43X, the 48, the Hellcat, and the Shield Plus, they're slimmer, easier to carry, hold just as much or even more, and don't feel like you stuffed a brick in your waistband. The 26 still works, still shoots fine, but it feels dated. And that's the thing about Glocks. They're hard to hate. Even the 26 is a workhorse. It's tough, dependable, nothing fancy, nothing dramatic, but practical, not so much anymore. In a world of optics-ready micro-compacts, the baby Glock is starting to feel more like the old Glock. You can still carry it, sure, you can still trust it, but most shooters have already moved on, and that says it all. If this feels like a relic from another era, wait until you see the next one. A gun that never earned its spot from day one and still gets laughed at in 2025. This pistol gets more love online than it does in real life, and that's the problem. On paper, it looks unbeatable. Killer trigger, optics ready, priced low enough to make both Glock and Sig sweat. At the range, it'll put rounds on target all day, and plenty of folks swear it's the best deal out there. But here's the side you don't hear in the hype. Drop a full mag, rack the slide, and sometimes the first round just hangs up. Doesn't matter if you hit the release or slingshot it, you end up smacking the slide forward like you're forcing it to behave. Fade issues show up too, especially with picky ammo or when the recoil spring starts feeling weak. Certain bullet profiles don't glide up the ramp like they should, and you're left with a jam that kills the rhythm. Even the mags can cause headaches. Over-insert one with aftermarket base pads, and the slide decides to lock back mid-strength. Nothing like clearing your gun when you should be firing it. The rival, the TP9, they're fun, they're accurate, and they look the part. But when you're betting your life, fun and cheap ain't enough. And that's why it tops this list. Some handguns grab attention before they even fire a shot. Slim, polished, built to catch eyes in the shop case. This one's got that presence. It's the kind of piece that makes you feel like you're holding something refined, almost too nice to scuff up. And a lot of people buy it for exactly that reason. But here's where reality sets in. You're paying top shelf money for a pistol that doesn't always give you top shelf confidence. It shoots, it carries, it does the job, yet the grip is thin, recoil sharper than you expect, and depending on what ammo you feed it, the experience can swing from smooth to stubborn. That doesn't necessarily make it junk, far from it in fact. The Micro 9 does have its place, and plenty of owners swear by it, but when you step back and look at the price, and then look at what else is on the market, you start asking hard questions. It's not a bad choice, it's just a choice that comes down to taste. Looks, feel, and style. Those matter to some people. Just remember, style doesn't replace trust. If you want to waste cash on these after hearing this, hell, that's your funeral. Half these pistols belong in the trash, not on a hip. Some jam like cheap lighters, some ride shelves because shooters already learned their lesson, and I know half of you are itching to type, "Mine never failed." Good, prove me wrong. That's what the comments are for after all. So tell me, which of these junk buys do you agree with? And which ones do you think I'm full of shit about? I'll be down here reading, laughing, and maybe throwing shots back. This has been Steve. Don't trust tags, don't trust hype. Carry what works and dump the rest where it belongs.